People underestimate just how much of an impact Magatha Grimtotem played in the recent times. With the poisoning of the weapon, the High Chieftain Cairne died, and future events were just entirely different. However, how would the Horde and Azeroth in general be like had Cairne won that duel? It is 2020 and we are still using giant, bulky and unpractical wallets. Luckily, the sponsor of this video, the Ridge wallet, is offering an excellent alternative. Light, sleek, industrial and simple in an aesthetic way, it can save you a lot of space in your pocket. Ridge wallet can hold up to 12 cards as well as cash, and it comes in over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. The team is so confident that they're offering a lifetime warranty and a test drive for 45 days, meaning if you don't absolutely love it, you can send it back. If you go to ridge.com/Doron, you can get 10% off as well as free worldwide shipping. Check out the link in the description below. So, Cairne never really liked Garrosh Hellscream. He always thought he was a hothead and overly aggressive, and when Thrall had to depart and go to talk with the elements and put Hellscream in charge, Cairne was absolutely furious, to put it lightly. The killing of the innocent druids was like the last straw, and at that point, Cairne challenged Garrosh to a mak'gora for the leadership of the Horde. Now, the duel, the ancient Orcus tradition, still existed within the new Horde as a sanctioned, non-lethal version, but Garrosh demanded a mak'gora by the old laws to the death. Cairne agreed, and the battle began in the Orgrimmar arena. Chieftain Bloodhoof, as 107-year-old extremely experienced warrior, was having an easy time with Garrosh. He was a match and their fighting styles cancelled each other out, so he wasn't completely dominating. Nonetheless, Cairne backed him up into a corner, and Garrosh, now desperate he didn't know what to do, did a leap of fate strike and actually shattered his rune spear and inflicted a wound across his chest. Despite this being a strong blow from a very strong orc, it was really nothing for the gigantic Tauren, but all of a sudden, Cairne just completely collapsed. Garrosh was shocked himself, he really didn't expect that to happen, but regardless, he just dealt the killing blow. It turned out that Magatha had poisoned the blade, and that really, had that not occurred, it is highly likely that Cairne would have won the mak'gora. As this was a duel to the death, Garrosh would most likely be killed, but it wouldn't be surprising for Cairne to spare him by following Thrall's ways, his new ways, more noble ones, and just teaching this young orc a lesson. What this version would do could just be a whole nother video, but let's just assume that Garrosh would now be dead. This event alone would literally change the entire story up until now significantly. Most likely, Cairne would take over the Horde, although as he was really old, he could have also given it to someone else, but let's just assume that he is the Warchief from now on, from around the time of Cataclysm. A lot of people forget just how influential Garrosh was in the entire faction conflict, especially in stirring up the conflict and actually starting it. Of course, both factions had a long history of war, it's not like they were friendly, but at this point, the Horde and the Alliance worked together against the Lich King. They weren't on great terms, there were some conflicts on the side, but they weren't at each other's throats, they weren't actively trying to completely destroy each other. Now, during Cataclysm, when he just became the Warchief, Garrosh wasn't really overly aggressive, and the Horde really did need resources, so maybe the war couldn't have been averted. But even if it happened, I feel like it could have been a much more localized conflict had Cairne been the Warchief than it actually was in our timeline. When the Alliance observed what Garrosh was doing, how he built his capital as a military base, how he brought the Magnatar from Northrend to destroy the Night Elves and cut down everything in his path, yeah, you can't say they were exactly looking to super peace, especially because Garrosh wasn't exactly a mediating figure. In the case with Cairne, he was a pacifist and was much more open to negotiation and not taking the conflict too far. He could have still battled the Night Elves, but maybe that wouldn't become a world war as it essentially did. Terramore would still be around, and Cairne 100% wouldn't nuke the entire city, which would completely change the entire Jaina storyline, and she would still be open to working with the Horde and the Alliance. The entire Dalaran thing wouldn't happen, and the Alliance would now not be set on just destroying Orgrimmar. On the other side of the world, the Sylvanas story might have played out completely differently. Maybe Sylvanas would still invade Gilneas because it was damaged by the Cataclysm, but I doubt Cairne would support that, as originally it was Garrosh's idea to take over the port and to launch the entire invasion because he wanted to expand Horde's influence in the Eastern Kingdoms. However, no doubt Sylvanas would still cause trouble. If you look at the entire storyline from this point now, when we know what is happening with the Shadowlands, and maybe without the orcs observing her, she might have gotten even worse with resurrections and the plague, and I feel like she could have played Cairne more easily than she did Garrosh, because Cairne is a bit more forgiving. So I feel like the Sylvanas storyline will definitely continue in a similar trajectory as it did in the actual universe. Also, most importantly, there would be no civil war, which means that the Horde would just be so much stronger. Sure, Garrosh cranked the military budget to 1000, but in the end, he damaged the faction so much that you had Varian Bryn standing in the middle of Orgrimmar and threatening to end the Horde. So if the civil war was averted, the Horde would be much more powerful and would be on par with the Alliance, because since Mists of Pandaria, Horde has been lagging so much. With all these wars, they've lost so many men, ships, and just overall resources. Even more importantly, there would be no Worlds of Draenor, which would not only be better for the Warcraft franchise in general, but there would be no Garrosh to incite the Iron Horde and no alternate universe stuff. This means that there would be no opening of the Dark Portal again, and also no way for Legion to invade as it did. Now, I'm 100% certain that Legion would still find a way to attack Azeroth, regardless of whether we went to the alternate Draenor or not. So, Legion would still happen, just probably wouldn't be through Gul'dan, which would change essentially everything. Most likely the entire Broken Shore ordeal and everything that happened since then. If we go further from Legion, it would be so much harder to predict. As a battle for Azeroth, Sylvanas played a key role, but who knows what would happen now. Maybe Cairne would fall during the demonic invasion, maybe he would be stabbed in the back by the Banshee Queen. Regardless, I still think the events would occur as they did. The Legion invasion, defeat of Sargeras, the wound to the World Soul, and now the connection to the Shadowlands. The Jailer and Sargeras have been behind the scenes for way too long, for thousands of years, and they were plotting, so whether Cairne was around or Garrosh, it wouldn't really matter all that much. However, the main difference would be the fact that there would most likely be no Worlds of Draenor and a civil war, and possibly even the Horde and the Alliance conflict in Pandaria, and essentially all these wars that just drain the resources one after the other. This means that both factions would be so much stronger, they would have a lot more resources, a lot less casualties, meaning that they would be more equal, as the Alliance is definitely stronger than the Horde right now and has been for quite some time. Furthermore, with both factions being stronger, we could deal with the Legion a lot more efficiently, and without the massive rift between the two factions that Garrosh almost solely created, maybe Sylvanas and the Jailer wouldn't have such an easy time of infiltrating the Horde and doing as they did. Also, with Cairne as a Warchief, his pacifism could even create better relations than they were under Thrall. All in all, when you really consider all the points, it is a bit insane just how influential that mak'gora actually was, seeing that this event was in the book, and a thing most people already forgot by now, the event literally shook the history of Azeroth to the core. Thank you for watching. Check out whether Azeroth is healed by clicking on the screen, and check out the second channel Doronsmovies Academy for videos on real world history and science. See you next time.